everybody, and welcome back to the Turn the Tassel Show. My name is Stephen Ampersand. I'm your host. And as always, we are here to help you and the people you love get to and through college, university, or the trade schools earlier on time with minimum to no debt. And if you looked at the description, if you read the title, tonight's broadcast is entitled The Parent Wuss Loans. Parent Wuss Loans. And yeah, I'm going there. We're going to get in there tonight. I'm going to hurt some feelings tonight. I hate to say it like that, but I'm going to hurt some feelings. So I think people just need to strap in and get ready. There's going to be some hurt butts tonight. And why? Because, increasingly we live in a society that doesn't want to say no to anything. We don't want to say no. We don't want people to think that we're not agreeable. We don't want people to judge us. We're afraid many of us of being canceled. And sadly, way too many of us really care too much about what other people think about us. It's just what it is. Way too many of us are too concerned about what other people think of us. Well, what would the neighbors say if? But if we don't let little Johnny or little Susie or little whoever go to their dream school, they won't. Right? So we rationalize and we let emotions drive life-altering, not for the positive, decisions. Why do we do that? Why do we do that? We do it because we're more concerned about what others will think of us. We're more concerned about keeping up with the Joneses, even though the Joneses are struggling and putting up a facade, just like you are. Real talk, right? And this is the culture that's been created in our economy, but it's also the culture that's been created in higher ed. And so tonight we're going to talk about it. We're going to get in there. I'm going to hurt some feelings. And so you see the disclaimer running down there at the bottom. I'm just going to put it on out there. If you're subscribing and watching, if you're here and you clicked on this and you're looking at this, it means that you have agreed to participate. Okay? You've agreed to do so. So if you're offended in any way, you chose this. If it might offend you to learn that Parent Plus loans are a horrible idea, horrible, awful. If it offends you to know that Parent Plus loans are literally the payday lender, the payday loan of higher education, then I'm going to invite you to go ahead and exit the room now. Go ahead and leave, because those of us who are willing to listen, it may save your retirement years. It's not an exaggeration to say that it could save your life. It really could, learning the information that I'm about to give to you. So I'll give it a second here for anybody who just wants to close their ears and I can't hear you, right? You want to do that? Okay, go ahead and exit the room, and then we'll go ahead with the rest of us and we'll learn some things. All right? So very good. So what I'm going to do is, without further ado, I'm going to cut to camera number 2, and I'm going to read 2 articles, well, really one article and just one fact sheet from the Federal Student Aid, so you get an understanding of how awful this Parent Plus loan issue is. So let's go, without further ado, over to camera number 2. Okay, let me bring myself up here because I want to make sure you can see me. There we go. All right. So let's scroll up here. Let me start from the top. This article here is just incredibly sad. Okay. A single mom, this is from the Insider, a single mom who took on a $187,000 in student debt for her kids wishes Biden would consider parents in his loan forgiveness plans. Quote, I just don't feel like it's fair that we're overlooked. Feelings. There we go. Okay, let's dive in. Adrian Mansfield will do whatever it takes to give her children the best futures, even if it involves a six-figure student loan debt load. The problem for her lies in President Joe Biden's broad student loan forgiveness plans and in the fact that parents haven't been included in that conversation. Quote, half of our children would not be able to go to school and become successful if it weren't for the parents, said Mansfield, 43. And I just don't feel, there's that word again, feel is really an F word to me. It's an F word. I just don't feel like it's fair. That's the other F word for me, fair. That we're overlooked. Mansfield's $187,000 student loan debt load comes from her Parent Plus loans that she took out for her two kids, which allowed her to borrow the full cost of attendance minus any financial aid the student already received. All right, stop the show. Let me come back here for a second. So for the uninitiated, the way the Parent Plus loan works is it's based on the parent's credit, and it's their loan for the student. It's not the student's loan. You, the parent, have to pay that back, okay? And they say, all right, we're going to give your kid, $6,000 of Pell Grant, and we're going to give them, if they're maximum eligible, meaning you're really poor, we'll give you maybe $1,800 of SEOG grant, and then we're going to let them take out $5,500 of student loans in their first year. $2,000 of that is going to be unsubsidized, which means the moment they disperse it, interest is going to begin to accrue. And the other $3,500 is subsidized, which means they disperse it and no interest is accruing while you're enrolled and actively registered and in college. Okay. But the moment you stop out, you get a 6-month grace period. Here comes interest on that. It's going to capitalize what's out there. And then that's going to be your new principal. And then they're going to roll that interest on you and bam, you in trouble. And if you don't stop out and you go all the way through and you graduate, then they're going to wait 6 months and they're going to do the exact same thing. And you're in trouble. Okay. But now they'll give that money. So let's say that totals to be about $13,000. Let's just say, all right, I didn't do the math, but let's say it's $13,000, right? Well, now they're looking at let's say a $60,000 a year tuition bill, right? Well, $13,000, let's make it 15, make it even. $15,000 against $60,000 ain't going to get you very far. So they will allow a parent, regardless of their ability to repay, as long as they don't have bad credit, and by bad credit, I mean, like, you'd be amazed at how low they'll let your credit score be to qualify you for the Parent Plus loan. Okay? It's low. You could be hovering around 500 or lower and qualify for a Parent Plus loan, right? And then again, regardless of your income and ability to repay as a parent, they will let you borrow the remaining $45,000 every year, plus a 3% tuition increase year after year, usually, to cover the gap so that your son, daughter, or other can attend college. This is insanity. This is insane. The national average time it takes to complete a college degree, to complete a bachelor's degree in America, is 6 years, because these kids want to go to their dream school that costs $60,000 a year. They don't know what the heck they want to do as a major. They have no clue, no idea. Many of them show up and they go right into remediation, which means they're adding years on just in remedial courses that don't count towards their degree, but cost just as much as the ones that do. And nobody seems to have a problem with it. Nobody thinks there's an ethical issue here. It's crickets. Nobody's talking about this. So they'll let a parent go and borrow all this money that they have no ability to repay. And then the kid doesn't even graduate. All right, let's go back. Mansfield's 187,000 student loan debt comes. Oh, we read that part. All right, let's keep going. Oh no, let's go there. Okay, so Mansfield's 187,300 student loan debt load comes from Parent Plus loans that she took out for her 2 kids, which allowed her to borrow the full cost of attendance minus any financial aid the child already received. All right, so we talked about that. Now watch this. Those types of federal loans have the highest interest rate at 6.28%, and they're set to increase to 7.54% in July. Okay, there she is, Adrienne Mansfield. And yes, she is a woman of color. And guess what? Women of color in particular are disproportionately saddled with student loan debt of their own and Parent Plus loans. And she's a single mom. So we talk about empowering women and supporting women and helping women. And yet we have a system that allows single mothers like this one to borrow money that she from jump can't repay with her income to cover a gap for her kids' school, and they may or may not even graduate. This is insane. Let's keep going. Working in a school as a behavior facilitator and being, hold on. Behavior facilitator, hang on. I just gotta just for the sake of the argument and for general principle, I'm gonna punch up median salary for a behavioral for in-school behavioral. What do they call her? Behavioral. That's the wrong one. I'll come back to that. In-school behavioral facilitator. Holy smokes. I'm afraid to see what this is. Let's look it up. Yes, I did. That's what I meant. Fat fingers tonight. Oh my God. Per ZipRecruiter for school behavior specialist salaries, as of June 15th, 2022, the average annual pay for a school behavior specialist in the United States is $47,081 per year. I can't even with this. This is out of control. Completely out of control. This, ladies and gentlemen, is predatory lending. This is predatory lending. You're preying on single moms making $48,000 a year. You're going to give her $187,000 of student loan debt? Nobody sees a problem with this? Anybody? Anybody else see the immorality of this? Because this is out of control. Working in a school as a behavioral facilitator and being the sole provider for her kids, Mansfield didn't make enough to pay out-of-pocket tuition at one public and one private university for her kids. She took out the maximum amount of plus loans for her two children and plans to do the same for her daughter, who is graduating from high school this year. Wait, stop the show. Stop the show. Come on, man. Come on. I'm sorry, Miss Mansfield. No disrespect. But how are you going to come on here and cry the woe is me about the student loan trap that, yes, they sprung on you. You've been trapped. And stay tuned, because my second book is literally about that. It's about the student loan trap and all that good stuff. So it's coming. Okay. But as parents, we've got to not be wusses. We can't be wusses and say, well, my sons and my daughter, my kids, they really want to go to the school and it costs this. I want to give them the best chance I can. How are you giving them the best chance they can when you're so far in debt, when you're so bankrupt by these student loans that they're going to have to turn around, deal with their student loan debt, and likely take care of you when you're old because your retirement is shot and you're in debt until the day you die? How is that setting your children up for success? This is an outrage. Absolute outrage. And anybody who can see something like this and not be outraged, something's wrong. All right. I can't believe that. I can't believe that she's actually going to go and do it for a third kid. But can you see? I got to come back. Can you see the problem here? She's done it for the first child. She's done it for the second child. How's she going to tell the third child no? Now, should she tell the third child no? Hell yeah, she should. Absolutely. Will she? No. She's not going to tell the third child no. And do you think that anyone's going to look at how much she already owes and say, you know what? Maybe we ought to not let you borrow any money for the third. Like, do you think the Department of Education, do you think our federal government is going to be responsible and say, you know what? No more for you? No. They're not. They're going to let her borrow another $100,000 for the third child. Unreal. All right. Let's press on. While Biden is considering $10,000 in student loan forgiveness for undergraduate borrowers, which is nothing, by the way, that ain't going to do nothing. Making under $150,000, parents and graduate students haven't been included in those plans. And Mansfield said she's looking at payments for the foreseeable future without options for relief. For the foreseeable future, she has to look forward to payments month after month for the rest of her life. She ain't ever going to stop paying. The interest alone at this point has outpaced what she earns. And that salary that I gave, the median salary, that's before taxes. She's netting like $30,000 tops. She'll never pay it off. She'll never pay it off. Society pressures, quote, society pressures our kids so much into needing college because you have to get a degree to have a better job. So I felt, there's the F word again, it was important because that's what my kids wanted to do. Oh my gosh. I got to work on my soundboard. I need more than the womp womp. I need a buzz. I need something. I need a buzzer. I need something because this is out of control. She says society pressures our kids into needing college. Okay. Well, whose responsibility? I got to come back for this. Whose responsibility is it to help our children to not just go along with what society says, Does anybody remember the parents that used to say, well, if the whole world jumped off the Brooklyn Bridge, would you jump off too? What happened to parenting? What happened to saying no for the good of our children? Well, it's what they wanted to do. What in the world does a kid know about the world and what they want to do? Kids don't know what they want to do. Kids need to be told what to do until they mature enough to be able to figure out what to do. You don't just cut your kids loose to make decisions just because they're grown bodies. A man's brain doesn't fully develop until age 25. It's well documented. A woman's brain doesn't fully develop until age 22. Well documented. Why are we letting these children take on personal debt with no collateral, no savings, no credit, to the tune of 6 figures for them, and then turn right around and let their parents do the same thing? And parents, why in the world would you do that? It's out of control. It's out of control. But now we're being punished. Oh my God. Oh my God. Now we're being punished for taking out loans so our children will be successful. See, I can't with this. I can't with the cop out. Now we're being punished. No, you're being punished because you allowed yourself to go along to get along. You allowed yourself to give into the whimsical nature of adolescent young men and women who are not yet fully developed in their brain chemistry. You're not guiding them. You're not parenting them. You're not. And then you want to blame and say that they're being punished and that you're being punished for choices you made. You made these choices. Now, is it immoral that these choices were available to you? Yes. It shouldn't even be available to you when you got a circumstance like that. Well, they should have a chance. Well, no, not if it's going to cost you $300,000 by the time it's all done with your third child and they've got debt of their own and we don't even know yet if they graduated. What in the flat earth? After her children graduated in 2017, okay, well, man, we'll take that. Let's clap that up at least. At least they graduated. Hallelujah. After her children graduated college in 2017 and 2019, Mansfield was placed on an income-driven repayment plan that allowed her to temporarily make $0 monthly payments because of her low income. While she said not having to make those payments was helpful, the interest continued to build, making it almost impossible for her to get ahead of her debt. And she said that element has affected her tremendously. I bet it has. Because that interest rate keeps rolling. Just because you're making 0 month payments, that interest is still accruing. They're going to get you. It's a trap. I had this debt on my credit, and it was restricting me from getting a house because my student loan amount was so high that the lenders didn't even want to lend me money to buy a house. Okay, again, the borrowing thing is a problem. Now you want to borrow money for a house. You've already got a house, $187,000 worth of house in student loans. You can't afford a house. I know, and that's what's not fair. Okay, let's keep going. Good grief. And I certainly don't make enough money to pay off the loan, and feeding my children and taking care of our necessities is my first choice. Mansfield isn't alone in her struggles. Many other parents have taken out student loans under their own names to provide for their kids, and they're left paying off debt that gets higher and higher because of surging interests. A recent report from the Century Foundation, a left-leaning think tank, said The average plus loan borrower still has 55% of the initial balance remaining after 10 years of repayment. Good grief. And 38% after 20 years of repayment, which means most parents spend more time paying off student loans than they did raising their children. What in the flat earth? Yes. And how are you going to retire when you got that? 20 years after your kids graduate college? Do the math. She's 43. Her children just graduated in 2017, 2019, and the next one's getting ready to go. If that child graduates on time, that's looking at 2026-ish. She's still going to owe somewhere around 38% of that plus loan. 20 years later, she's going to be 63. She can't retire. This woman's going to be behavioral healthing in the classroom well into her 70s if she survives that long. This is immoral. It is unconscionable. It is irresponsible. And that all belongs to both sides. To the parent who borrows this money and to the machine that makes it available to her. This is a nightmare. It's a nightmare. This is a longer stream tonight, but hey, look, this is important. You guys need to see this before you go and make this mistake. You need to see this. Kristen Blagg, a researcher at the Urban Institute, previously told Insider that the idea of giving loans to a student is so they'll earn enough money with a degree to pay the debt back. But that's not the case for parents. Quote, the math for parents, particularly if they're unable to pay the college tuition and other costs at the moment their child is going to school, that math doesn't quite work out because the parents aren't necessarily receiving that benefit of a college education, Blagg said. We need to be considered. I won't read that. Biden hasn't yet confirmed an amount of student loan relief he's considering. And the only definitive statement he's made so far on the topic is that $50,000 in relief, an amount progressives were pushing for, is off the table. But it's likely that relief will focus on undergraduates, which would leave those with plus loans in the dark. Peter Granville, a senior policy associate at the Century Foundation, recently told Politico the reason parents haven't been included in the loan forgiveness conversation might be because when it comes to Parent Plus loans, there's very little, quote, data on these parents themselves. And there's much, quote, less known about actual parents and their outcomes when it comes to taking on these loans. Either way, Mansfield hopes whatever decision Biden makes won't exclude the borrowers who did what they needed to do to help their children succeed. I just want, quote, I just want parents that have put our name on the dotted line so that our children can be successful and to be considered in the fact that we too have struggles, Mansfield said. We took the loans out for our children to be successful. We need to be considered in the loan forgiveness as well. All right. It ends there. People, I can't make it any more plain than this. I mean, just really fast. I need to show you this. All right. There's no way out of this. Once you get in this trap, you're in it. You will die with these loans. Okay. And look, it tells you so. Okay. Even on the loan forgiveness options that they're giving, right? Differences between forgiveness, cancellation, and discharge. Let's look. Types of forgiveness, cancellation, discharge. Public service loan forgiveness. You got to be working for a nonprofit or government agency to get that. Teacher loan forgiveness. Okay. You got to be working in an underserved area to, underserved people to get, your loans forgiven after a decade. If you make all of your payments every month after month without missing any, then they'll forgive it. And then when they forgive it, you're going to get a 1099-G for the income that you were given by way of forgiveness for that tax year. And now you're going to owe taxes on, in her case, $187,000 plus, probably $300 by the time her third child gets done. So she just earned an additional $300,000 that year. So instead of $48,000 that year, she earned $348,000 that year. Do you think she paid taxes on $348,000 that year when it was being taken out of her paycheck? No. So now she's going to be in debt to the IRS, who can garnish her wages, who can throw her in jail. It's a trap. School closed. That's another way they can discharge you if your school closes. Perkins loan can be canceled. Permanent disability discharge. You got to be permanently disabled. That's a win. Okay, we'll forgive it if you're permanently disabled and you can't work. Discharge due to death. I mean, what did I say? What did I say? Discharge due to death. All right, let me show you this. Let me bring it up so you can see it, because you think I'm playing. All right, discharge due to death. Come on, man. That's a wah-wah. Discharge in bankruptcy. In rare cases, it is rare to get a discharge in bankruptcy. Borrower defense to repayment, false certification if somebody stole your identity, or rather if the school certified it and you didn't authorize them to. Unpaid refund if they didn't give you your money back afterwards. Forgery, that's if somebody stole your identity. Check this out. Eligibility for parent borrowers. As with loans made to students, a Parent Plus loan can be discharged if you die. If you, not the student on whose behalf you obtained the loan, become totally and permanently disabled. Or if your loan is discharged in bankruptcy, which we just read above is extremely rare. Your Parent Plus loan may also be discharged if the child for whom you borrowed dies. Does any of that sound like a good idea to you? Do any of those debt relief options sound appealing to you? The answer is not to get into the debt in the first place. And so the question is, how do you do that? How do you not get into this debt in the first place? Well, number one, you stop being a parent wuss and taking out parent wuss loans. Be a parent. Tell your kid no. Send them to community college, for crying out loud. Get them to a trade school. Anything but that. Because you're not giving them a better life if they're saddled with debt and you are too. And they end up having to take care of you, or you or they or both of you have to die to get out of it. Instead, contact us over here at Turning Tassel Consulting Group. T3 turningtassel@gmail.com, 484-574-1866. Text me. I need a plan. We will help you craft one. That does not include taking out Parent Plus loans, the payday loan of higher education that you can never get out of. We will walk with you. We'll give you a free consultation, and we can help you if you want to move forward. My name is Stephen Ampersand, and this is the Turn Tassel Show.